During this week in Pokemon Go, we are going to be getting a whole variety of different in-game events, and we're also going to be seeing some pretty decent rating content. I'm going to be talking about all of this in today's video. Let's get right into it. Alright, how's it going everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. So this week is going to be, I want to say it's about a bit of a mixed bag, because on the one hand, there are a couple of in-game events which, in my opinion, are not that high of a priority, and because of that, it's going to be a bit of a slow week. I think when it comes to Pokemon Go, it's usually dependent on how hyped up the in-game events are, but I will say that there is just one event that I really am looking forward to, which I'll get into later. But for the most part, I do feel like the only major event that's happening this week is the Cozy Companions event, and within that event, there's really not a whole bunch going on. But in order to really understand that, let's go over the details for that event, and then afterwards let me tell you about the event that I'm actually looking forward to, which is going to be happening at the end of the week. The Cozy Companions event is going to be from August 6th at 10 o'clock a.m. local time, and it's going to go until August 12th at 8 o'clock p.m. local time. The featured Pokemon for this event is of course the brand new Pokemon Snom, as well as its evolved form Frostmoth. These two Pokemon are going to be making their Pokemon Go debut with this event, and I do think they're going to be something that a lot of players will want to get. Now during this event, we're going to see the following event bonuses. You're going to get double the amount of experience every time you hatch an egg, you're going to get one extra special trade per day, and then you're going to have an increased chance to get Tandem Mouse from Party Play. So if you have a buddy that you play with Party Play, both of you should end up seeing more Tandem Mouse spawns. And then for friends in your friends list, you're going to get friendship levels a lot faster, so make sure you're opening and sending gifts during this event because you do not want to miss out on this bonus. Now, in order to evolve Snom into Frostmoth, you're going to need 400 candy, and then you need to earn 10 hearts with the Snom as your buddy, and then you can only evolve it at night, which is quite a lot to get yourself a Frostmoth. If it ends up that Frostmoth is not a relevant Pokemon, then this is definitely going to be a lot of stuff for you to do just to get the Pokedex entry, but I do think Frostmoth might see some play, at least in PvP. And then, like I mentioned, Shiny Tandem Mouse is going to be making its debut during this event, and considering that you're going to have an increased chance to encounter it with Party Play, I do predict that a lot more players are going to engage with that feature. Now, these are going to be the wild encounters during this event. You're going to see Abra, Geodude, Carablast, Shelmet, Phantom, as well as an uncommon spawn rate of Alolan Geodude, and then hatching in 7km eggs is going to be Galarian Farfetch, Pancham, the new Pokemon Snom, as well as Charcadet. There's also going to be a timed research which is going to be available to everyone. It's going to award you with one lucky egg, encounters with event-themed Pokemon including Snom and Tandem Mouse, so they will be giving you a Snom and Tandem Mouse directly through this timed research, so you don't necessarily have to hatch a whole bunch of eggs, but considering you need so much candy to evolve a Snom, you might want to hatch eggs regardless. And then there's also going to be a paid time research for $1.99, and it's going to give you a lucky egg, 1 star piece, as well as more encounters with Snom and Tandem Mouse. So yeah, aside from Snom making its debut and for you to finally have the opportunity to get Shiny Tandem Mouse, I will say that the Cozy Companions event is not necessarily something that is going to cater to everyone. I do not necessarily feel like it's a bad event per se, but it's not really that substantial, so I do predict that a lot of players are not necessarily going to care about it as much. But there is actually one particular event which, in my opinion, is going to be an extremely important event, and regardless of where you are as a Pokemon Go player, you need to participate. And that is of course going to be the Origin Raid Day, which we're getting at the end of this week on Sunday. Let's go over the details for that because this is definitely a you cannot miss event. The Ultra Unlock Origin Raid Day, featuring both Origin Form Dialga and Origin Form Palkia, is going to be happening on August 10th from 11 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. local time. And of course, the featured Pokemon are going to be Origin Form Dialga and Origin Form Palkia. Now, something to keep in mind is that both of these Pokemon have their Adventure Effect moves, which you could potentially get. It's not going to be guaranteed, but it will be something that you could potentially get from every single raid encounter. Dialga has the Adventure Effect move Roar of Time, and Palkia has the Adventure Effect move Spatial Rend. If you're lucky enough, you will get yourself one of these Pokemon with that move. Now during this event, these are going to be the event bonuses that we can enjoy. You're going to get 5 additional raid passes whenever you spin a gym photo disc, and you're going to have an increased chance, according to them, of getting a shiny Origin Form Dialga and shiny Origin Form Palkia. I do not know how much they're going to boost the shiny rate, but I do not believe they've ever boosted the shiny rate for either of these Pokemon, so definitely get on top of that. Now, we're also going to see the remote raid pass limit increase to 20, so if you cannot go out and raid but you have a whole bunch of Pokecoins that you can spend for remote raid passes, that is definitely something you should keep in mind. And you're going to be able to get 1.5 times the amount of experience from raid battles, and you're going to have an increased chance to get Rare Candy XL from in-person raid battles. And of course, there's going to be an event ticket in the Poke Shop as well as the web store that's going to give you 8 additional raid passes from spinning gym photo discs for a total of 14 free raid passes, and then you're going to get 1 Rare Candy XL awarded for catching Origin Form Dialga and Origin Form Palkia. Pretty much every time you do a raid, you're going to get a Rare Candy XL, which is actually a pretty good bonus. And you're also going to get 3 times the amount of experience from raid battles and double the amount of Stardust from raid battles. I believe, considering the Pokemon that are going to be featured for this raid day, this event ticket might be one of those you will need to buy so that you can get some extra value with those raid passes as well as farm up a lot of those Rare Candy XL. I do predict that a lot more people are going to be doing raids en masse, so this ticket will definitely hold its value with the Rare Candy XL alone. Alright, next up, let's briefly go over everything else that's going to be happening during this week. Now, aside from this Origin Raid Day, we're also going to be getting a Hatch Day featuring the Pokemon Munchlax on Saturday, August 9th. Now, if you really want to get yourself Munchlax, that's going to be a great opportunity for you to do so. Here are a little bit of details regarding that particular event. Munchlax Hatch Day is going to be happening on August 9th from 11 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. local time. This is going to be an event where you will be able to get a whole bunch of Munchlax by hatching eggs, and yes, they will be giving you an increased chance to get a shiny of it. These are going to be the event bonuses during this Munchlax Hatch Day. You're going to get double the amount of candy from hatching eggs, you're going to have an increased chance of hatching shiny Munchlax, and then you're going to have an increased chance of getting 2-kilometer eggs, which are going to contain those Munchlax when you spin Pokestops. There's also going to be a timed research, which is going to give you 1 incubator as well as 5,000 experience, and then a paid timed research, which is going to give you double the amount of Stardust whenever you hatch eggs as a bonus, and then 1 star piece as well as 2 super incubators. If Stardust is something that you need, then maybe this paid timed research might be worth it, considering that when you hatch eggs, you do get a substantial amount of Stardust. So if you were to pop a star piece and then hatch a whole bunch of eggs throughout this event, you might end up getting yourself a lot of Stardust. And then of course, there's going to be a Hatch Day extended bonus. On August 7th at 10 o'clock a.m. to August 9th at 5 o'clock p.m., you're going to have a half egg hatch distance bonus. Next, let's talk about the weekly content. So, during this week's Max Monday, which is actually going to be tonight on August 4th from 6 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. local time, we're going to have one featuring the Pokemon Omanite. So, if you want a Dynamax Omanite, just keep in mind that there is going to be a Max Monday for it tonight from 6 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. Now, for tomorrow's Spotlight Hour, we're going to be featuring one with Swirlix, and the key thing here is that it's also going to be a 2 times catch Stardust bonus. So if you happen to have yourself a whole bunch of research rewards queued up with bonus Stardust Pokemon, then make sure you go ahead and pop a star piece between 6 o'clock p.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. local time tomorrow, and then catch every single one of those Pokemon. Even if you were to just catch a whole bunch of Swirlix alone, that could still net you a good amount of Stardust, but this sort of 2 times catch Stardust bonus really is effective with bonus Stardust Pokemon. So I really do think you need to take a look at all the Pokemon that you've had queued up and catch those if you've been saving them. Now, in terms of this week's raiding content, we are of course going to be getting Lugia and Mega Ampharos in raid battles, but there is also going to be a raid hour this Wednesday on August 6th from 6 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. local time, and it's going to be featuring the legendary Pokemon Lugia. If you need candies for Lugia specifically, then there is of course that raid hour. I really do suggest you go to a high population area like a major city or a suburb in downtown, and then do a whole bunch of raids for this Pokemon. It's definitely a decent one, but in particular, you will want to get the Candy XL in order to max out your best one. And then finally, let's talk about PvP, because of course we're going to see the end of the season really soon, and that means you will want to get as many battles done as you possibly can. So for this week in particular, until this Tuesday, August 5th, we're going to have the Open Great League as well as the Fossil Cup Great League Edition. But then after this Tuesday, from August 5th until August 12th, we're going to have the Open Ultra League along with the Summer Cup Ultra League Edition. So yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to the content of this week. So there are a couple of things that are pretty decent, I will say. They're not necessarily super important, but I do think that Origin Raid Day at the end of this week is going to be important. You do not want to miss out on that. Getting Origin Form Dialga and Origin Form Palkia are both very important in their own right, but of course you want to go for those adventure effect moves, because if you were to get a Origin Form Dialga with Roar of Time or an Origin Form Palkia with Spatial Ren, that's going to do so much for your account. And especially if you get lucky enough to get a 100% IV of either of those Pokemon, you're going to have a top tier Pokemon for PvP. So yeah, I do think that's going to be the one thing you will want to pay attention to, but for everything else that's going on this week, it's essentially, I don't know, it's not necessarily going to be that special. But yeah, that's essentially going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts regarding this week down below. Is there something in particular that you are looking forward to? Do you feel like there's something with this week that's super important aside from that Origin Raid Day? Or do you feel like you agree with me that this week is really not that special? Definitely share your thoughts in the comments down below, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you ended up enjoying it, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget that notification bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. Real quick, let me give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Consenso channel, the best way you can do that is going to be by joining my Patreon. And if you decide to become a paid Patreon member, I'm going to add you to my Pokemon Go friends list. That means for stuff like remote raids, the friendship system, opening and sending gifts, different things like that. If you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then do consider joining my Patreon. I'll put a link to it in the description below. And I'm choking on my spit. Anyway, and if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, you can do so by following me on social media. My handle is Jinsula. I'm on the platforms you see on the bottom of your screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow. And you'll have access to some exclusive content, and you'll be able to keep up with my daily life. And with that said, that's going to be it for this video. Make sure you love yourself today. Look at yourself in front of the mirror and say that you're awesome, because I think you're awesome. And yeah, that's going to be it. I'm Jinsula, and I'll catch you all later. Jinsula.